X-cursion. The name of the program is X-cursion. I'm Bradley Thunderbird Phoenix, your host. This is X-cursion. I'm Bradley Thunderbird Phoenix, and I'm here with Mindy Kronenberg. And Mindy is an award-winning poet, writer, mentor of writing and literature at Empire State College, and consultant for the Young Writers Institute. She works extensively with poets and writers and BOCES, and runs the Writers' Space Workshop at the Babylon Arts Council, also known as BACA. Her work has appeared in over 300 periodicals and texts in the United States and abroad. Ms. Kronenberg edits Bookmark, Quarterly Review, a review of small press editions, now in its 12th year, and she was the organizer-host of the Long Island Small Press Book Fairs. Mindy, welcome to X-cursion.
Thank you, Bradley.
Now, Mindy, I always ask this question, even when I was on the radio, and that question is, where were you born and raised?
I was born in the cradle of civilization, Brooklyn.
Hey.
I lived there for about 9 years of my life in Borough Park, then moved out to Jamaica, Queens, and then my family came out to Long Island in 1969-70. And I've been living on Long Island ever since.
I haven't gone abroad anywhere, just Long Island or New York.
Just lived
Okay.
yeah, on Long Island. Several places, but have lived on Long Island.
Now, who would you say inspired you to become a writer?
I don't know that any one in particular inspired me. I think I had an inclination towards it. And then the more I read, the more I became inspired by some of the things that I read. I find that creative works in many different disciplines inspires me. Works of art, dance, music. So it was kind of a collage of things, I think. As I was growing up, things I was exposed to in the household. I was very lucky. I had literate parents who liked theater, liked music, liked dance, and I was exposed to these things. And I think, taken all together, they've led me down a path to writing.
Now, you are currently a mentor of writing at Empire State College. What does that
Yes.
mean, and what does that entail?
Empire is part of the SUNY system, State University of New York. And they came about in the 70s to provide an opportunity for people who were working or people who could not get a college education in the traditional sense, to attend classes during the day like a person out of high school, a kid who would go to college, so that they could fit an education into their lives and become nurtured and become educated and maybe gain some more professional experience and get a degree and better their lives that way.
Now, Stony Brook just took over Southampton, did they not?
Yes.
And what is that all about? Why did they need to be rescued or taken over or merged?
Well, that was a Southampton College, which is part of the Long Island University. And I think Stony Brook saw a great benefit of taking over the Southampton Writers Program, their Master in Fine Arts in Writing. And they will be running the programs out of the Southampton campus. And they have faculty from Stony Brook and from Southampton offering the courses. So I think it benefits both, and it benefits the community, really. They just had their writers' conference held at Stony Brook this past summer, and it was fabulous. You had people like Billy Collins, Amy Tan.
I missed it.
It was absolutely wonderful. It was terrific. And it was a merging of the two programs, and I think it offers a lot of promise for the future.
Now, you also have creative writing workshops
Yes.
in the community for poetry, short stories, anything else? Script writing?
I've had script writers, people who write little theatrical vignettes. I had songwriters, writers of children's books. Whatever talent you feel you want to develop, you can bring to the class. And that, I think, nurtures everybody.
And that's in BOCES, or is it high schools or public libraries?
In BOCES, it's through the school districts. So that's elementary through high school. And in Poets and Writers, it's in community programs, in libraries and arts councils, museums, wherever an arts institute or an organization wants to have a workshop or a reading. I'll be there. And that's through the support of poets and writers.
And how long have you been doing that?
Over 20 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, did you write some screenplays and some teleplays?
I wrote, I did some rewrites of screenplays. I have scripts that I wrote when I worked in film and video. I wrote for animation many, many years ago with a friend of mine who went out to California, and we did some crazy little animations and little independent films that were kind of satires and parodies of advertising and contemporary mores. These were like little films, 10 minutes. I think the largest one we did was 45 minutes. And that was all very, very low budget, independent film. And then later on, professionally, I wrote scripts for corporate industrial video with a production company, with a producer who I was working with on a theatrical script.
Mm-hmm. Now I see here, I'm cheating for the benefit of the television audience because I have her resume here. And I noticed that she's worked with the Live Poet Society, and
Yeah.
Barbara is the current leader. And I
Barbara
assume,
Donovan.
yes,
Yes.
and I assume
Yeah.
you know her
Oh,
very well.
many years. Many, many years. I've done a lot of workshops for them and readings for them. They have wonderful programs.
Mm. Now you brought some of your poetry to share with us today. So
Yes.
let's do that. We're going to show pictures of still photos of Mindy reading some of her poetry at various venues. But we have some poetry that she wants to share with us today. So let's do that right now.
Okay, I brought a handful of things. This is actually brand new, and I thought it might resonate because everybody's been getting those emails about being left a lot of money. The good news. Imagine someone died you never heard of, someone of importance, an ambassador, a member of council, a shipping magnate, an advisor to the king. Someone was traveling in a hurry, a yacht, a private plane, a helicopter spiraling the islands, a limousine aimed at treacherous hills to a shining resort, and met with a terrible fate. That someone left you a lot of money, francs, pounds, rupees, golden coins, a heap of green bills, and they asked specifically for you, one soul in the electrified wilderness, across the globe's worried patchwork of brightly colored territories. And it gives you a start. Never mind the cost. It gives you hope. The world is not such a hateful place. You can feel it in your heart. All is not lost.
Hmm. Now Mindy has a poem posted on my website. What was the title of that poem that you had given me, Mindy?
Invisible Cargo.
Invisible Cargo. If you go to www.bradleyphoenix.com and you look under the poetry section, under the poetry topics, and you'll come to that webpage and it'll have Mindy's poem, Invisible Cargo. Now, I'm going to hold this up. We'll show it later on in close-up, but we have Dismantling the Playground. This is one of the collection of poems by Mindy. And when was this published, Mindy?
94.
1994.
Mm-hmm.
And how, let me see, just, I've never seen this before, and how many, let me just want to get a gander of how many, I have to take my glasses off, it's 30 pages
Mm-hmm.
of your
It's a
collection,
chapbook.
an omnibus or a collection of your poems.
Yes.
That's nice. And you have some other upcoming projects as well. Would you?
Yeah, well, I have a book, The Gravity of Desire, that will be upcoming. I have a lot of readings that I'll be doing around Long Island, in Smithtown, Stony Brook, Something with You, spoken word theater, hopefully in August, and BOCES projects in the school districts. I have a few of those coming up.
Did you say you wrote a novel?
I'm working on one.
You're working on one currently?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Would you care to read another poem
Sure.
for us?
Sure. I'll read this one. I wrote this one, this is dedicated to my students. It actually has to do with, you're laughing. Sometimes they make me laugh too. About being a poet. I get asked that sometimes. You know, it's a question that fascinates me and alternately annoys me because it's hard to answer. You know, why are you a poet? What is it to be a poet? You write poetry essentially. You're drawn to it, and something does happen while you're writing. And when I see my students work and even see them in process in class, it's something I admire and still wonder at. Incantation. The poets close their eyes, each a conductor, each a magician. One conjures rain on a field blighted by sun. Another rouses wind through the hungry fingers of trees. One builds monuments, stone castles, glass towers. Another releases a dark net of birds. Each channels strange music, sees the future, flees the past. And just as stars spin bright tales through centuries of night, they burn, ignited by reverie, and take flight in words.
That's nice.
Thank you.
If you have one more poem, we can read that, and then we can
Sure.
talk about the spoken word theater. It's something that Mindy and I are collaborating on, and that should take place in the summer of this year, which is, I started to say 2006, but we're now in 2007. Happy New Year.
Yeah. I want to read this poem.
Okay.
It's a little topical because Pluto's been demoted to something less than a planet. People have been reading
Okay.
about that. And there's a whole campaign about this. People are upset about it, and surprisingly, I was myself. And I dedicated this to Percival Lowell, who has discovered Pluto. Planet X. For all the orbiting specks in my body, whose flight is diminished, that have no name and never will. For all the loves I've dreamed, but never held close or felt their breath, I embrace the cold, diminutive heart of Pluto. Dwarfed by the verdict of the planetary jury, its lonely path warped and saddened by distance from its robust companions, who spin mosaics of gas and rock, brag voluptuous cauldrons of steam. It tags along, reaching toward a light that dangles as a bare bulb in the dim chamber of space. How can I abandon this dark, wistful nugget, the runt, the misfit I've loved from the start? How can I pluck you from my celestial necklace?
That's nice.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about the spoken word theater, Mindy.
Sure.
I met Mindy at BACA, the acronym which stands for what? The Babylon
It's a Babylon Citizens Council on the Arts.
I tell folks that it's just the Babylon Arts Council because I think it would be a lot easier than to try to explain that acronym. But I met Mindy there, and I had the kernel of the idea some years ago. Matter of fact, in 1998, when we did the spoken word theater at the SAC Auditorium at Stony Brook University. And that is, I wanted to have a spoken word forum for artists, spoken word artists, and that would entail stand-up comedy, poetry readings, including hip-hop, storytelling, dramatic readings, and of course, my love, which is audio theater. And then I wanted to have on top of that, or to support that, I wanted to have panel discussions and creative workshops. Now, these creative workshops would be workshops for poetry, creative writing, short story writing, how to write a script. It could be a comic book script, it could be a radio play script. Sound effects for audio theater. So these are some of the things that should happen, and we're targeting, Mindy and I, we're targeting August of this year. I keep wanting to say 2006, we're in 2007.
Yeah.
August 18th,